Okay, guys, let's talk about being a perfectionist. Now, I know the subject a little too well because I'm a self-proclaimed or self-diagnosed perfectionist myself. At least I used to be. And what's funny about this is when you are a perfectionist, you really think that it's helping you to accomplish like great things because you're a perfectionist. I mean, everything you put out has to be perfect. But what if that's actually not the case? What if that's actually kind of holding you back? And inevitably it does. But what I want to do with you guys here in this video is not only share with you guys about the downfalls of being a perfectionist, but what causes it and how you can overcome it so that you don't let your perfectionism get in the way. So that's what we're going to talk about in this video. What's going on, guys? My name is Gabe Kemsey and welcome back to my channel. On my channel, I help you guys master your mindset and build the life that you deserve. And we're talking about perfectionism today. And funny story about this, I used to always think and take pride in the fact that, I was a perfectionist. I would basically self-sabotage myself in a lot of different things because I would say, oh, I can't start this because everything isn't aligned right. Or I can't submit this or turn this in because it's not right. It's not perfect, at least to my standards. And I thought that that was a good thing because, it allowed me to do my best stuff. But what it actually ended up doing for me is really hold me back from accomplishing a lot of the things that I wanted to accomplish. And you might struggle with this too as well, or at least to a certain degree. Having that feeling that you have to be perfect and the timing has to be right and everything has to kind of align and the stars have to be kind of all in order for something to happen. And that isn't really the case. In fact, it shouldn't be, because when we allow ourselves to become victimized by that, it actually does us more harm than good. See, the truth about perfectionism is honestly, we just don't know what to do. And, when it comes to trying to figure out something, and because we don't know what to do, it holds us back. See, what perfectionism really boils down to, if we really get down to the nitty-gritty, perfectionism oftentimes is really just a fear of rejection. We fear what people might think of us. If we submit something that isn't the best work in our eyes, we fear that it might not be received well, or we fear that things might not be accepted well by other people. Let's say you're trying to start a business and a lot of people run into the situation where they have to have everything all set up. They have to have their website, they have to have their business cards and their LLC set up, and they have to, write out their business plan and all that kind of stuff. And yes, I'm not saying that stuff is not important. But what I'm saying is that a lot of people focus so much on that stuff, they don't even get out the gate half the time. Because while they're spending all their energy and spinning all their wheels doing all this stuff on this end, they're not doing what actually really matters in building a business, which is building awareness and generating revenue. And the reason why they don't get to that point is because, their website isn't perfect, or their logo isn't exactly to their liking, and they fear that other people are not going to see and appreciate what they might have in their minds in the same way. So it's that fear of rejection that really kind of holds us in that light. And understanding that is going to help you realize that it's not about what people think, okay? Because at the end of the day, it's really about you and what you were trying to accomplish. And being a perfectionist is only holding you back in that aspect. At some point, we have to be real with ourselves. And I know for me that I had like a coming to Jesus moment when I had to be real. And I was like, okay, listen, am I not doing this because I'm a perfectionist, or am I not doing this because I'm either distracted or because I'm afraid of what people are gonna think when I release this or drop this, or I just don't know what's going on and I don't know what to do, so I'm just gonna claim I'm a perfectionist to try to figure out what the heck is going on. We have to really kind of come to terms with that and really have a one-on-one with ourselves and realize that half the time it's not about us trying to be perfect. It's just about us trying to navigate something that we might not really know too well. I'm just gonna put this out there, but that's okay. It's okay to navigate things that you don't know. In fact, I encourage it, because that's the only way you actually grow, is by doing things that you don't know, doing things that are uncomfortable and putting it out there. And ultimately what this leads to is procrastination, okay? Because if we are trying to be perfect, then we are never going to actually do the thing, and it leads to procrastination, and I'll just deal with it tomorrow, or I'll just do it next week, and it never happens. So how do we deal with being a perfectionist, one, and eliminating procrastination out of our lives? Okay, so the first thing that you're going to want to do in order to overcome being a perfectionist is realize that the fear that you have is not going away. It's not. It's just part of the human package. And understand that no matter how far or no matter how high you might get, there is always going to be that fear of rejection, that fear of I'm not good enough, that fear of is this good enough, or am I worthy to be able to do this? Listen, you can talk to any celebrity, any person that is shifting the needle in this world, any influencer, whether they are a speaker or an athlete, and whenever they go up to do their thing, whether it's to perform on the court or to perform on stage, they have the same fears. It does not go away. They are just better capable at dealing with those fears, not letting those fears stop them, and keep going forward despite how they're feeling. So in the same aspect, if you are working on something right now, you might be working on like a course that you want to drop, or you might be working on starting a business. You got to realize that that fear of what other people might think is never going to go away. Or you might have a fear of developing haters, right? That's never going to go away. And that's okay. Understanding that, embracing that, realizing that that's going to happen regardless of how far and how successful you might or may not get. It doesn't really matter. It's always going to be there. So just embrace it, accept it, and then what that does is that frees you up. That empowers you to just kind of move forward regardless, because at the end of the day, you just want to be able to feel the fear and do it anyways. Which is a great book, by the way. I actually have a video where I talked about that, and I'll put it somewhere in the description. So I experienced this firsthand when I started taking cold showers. As many times as I've taken cold showers, and I've gone to points where I've taken cold showers every single day for months at a time, I've realized that no matter how many times you do it, it always sucks. Like it always does, but it's the same process, right? You dread the cold water, then you take the cold shower, and it's not as bad. You don't die, and you leave and you feel, invigorating. And so, but that process and that thought process and that mindset never changes. I'm always going to have that initial anxiety of, I do not want to take this cold shower, but I do it anyways. I'm happy about it at the end of it. So understanding that your fears are always going to be there, no matter how confident you might feel or think you are or get, they're always going to be there. And that's something that you just want to embrace and realize that it's not going anywhere. So that's okay. Okay, so the second thing that you're going to want to do in order to overcome being a perfectionist is realize that you are always going to be distracted, and there are always going to be distractions. No, there's never a right time. At the end of the day, there's never going to be a right time to launch your business, or to start that career, or to launch that podcast, or to drop that album or song, or to create that first YouTube video. There's never going to be a right time. And on top of that, there's always going to be things to distract you. There is always going to be something that you could go to, someone you can hang out with, things that you can do that can take you away from that. Okay. And sometimes as being a perfectionist and kind of dealing with the whole procrastination thing, we think, okay, well, you know what, I'll just kind of do this later. But realize that there is never going to be a later if you don't do this now. Now is the right time. Now is the only time, because tomorrow isn't promised at the end of the day. So you have to kind of embrace the fact that there's always going to be distractions, and there's always going to be things that can pull you away from the things that you want to accomplish. So the question I have for you is, are they worth it? is it worth what you are trying to accomplish? Now, I'm not saying that you can't go out and hang out with friends and stuff like, every once in a while, but are you choosing your friends every time over building your business? Because if you are, you got to really, take a step back and have that kind of one-on-one moment like I talked about earlier and see, is this me being a perfectionist, or is this me just procrastinating because I'm afraid of what people are going to think when I actually do this, or because I just don't know in general what I'm doing in the first place? So embrace the fact that things are always going to be distracting you. There's always going to be something else to do, but you want to focus on what is going to get you to where you're going to go, and ask yourself, is this leading me towards where I want or holding me back? Now, the third thing, and the thing that really helped me personally overcome my perfectionist syndrome, is understanding that there is no perfection without completion. Now, hear me out here. How can you perfect something that isn't even done yet? You can't, because there's nothing to perfect. And that's the conundrum that we run into, because as perfectionists, we try so hard to make the thing so perfect that we ultimately don't end up creating that thing. But take, for example, what like software companies or people or, any kind of, a lot of these businesses do, right? They release betas, which are just literally, they just get the product out there. And that's how you want to think about this. You just want to get it out there, get it out to the marketplace, and just push it out. You can perfect things later. And that's what these businesses do, right? They produce just a beta version of their product, and then they get feedback and they start to change and course correct as they go. And that's the kind of approach that you should be taking. You shouldn't be focusing on, if you are, for example, wanting to release something, you're not going to want to make it perfect right then and there, because it's never going to be perfect. You just want to put it out there and then perfect on the way. Okay, launch that business, start that channel, do it now, start today. And then as you move forward, you can start to make changes and start to make improvements, and you perfect on the way. Perfection is also just a false sense of the word. There's no such thing as perfect. And if there was, I don't think you would want it because if something is perfect, there's nothing left. There's nowhere else to grow. There's nowhere else to go. And where's the fun of that? End of story, credits. The fun in this is getting to somewhere, accomplishing a goal, and then setting the next goal, climbing the mountain, checking out the view, and then realizing, all right, that was cool. What's next? Where's the next mountain? So you don't want something to be perfect, but it's the journey of that perfection that is what's fulfilling. It's the journey that actually that takes something from something that was just a thought in our mind to something that could be great, because that thought that we have is translated into something that we just put out, and yeah, it might not be perfect, but we put it out there, and that thing is making the difference that it needs to make. And there's people out there that could be blessed by the thing that you just put out there that you might not think is perfect, but to somebody else is exactly what they need. It's something that they need to hear. It's something that they really need in order to solve some kind of problem or pain point that they have in their lives, which as entrepreneurs, that's what we're trying to do, right? We're trying to just solve people's problems. But you're not going to be able to solve anyone's problems if there's nothing out there to really help them do that. So put it out there and realize that there's no such thing as being perfect. But if you are striving to achieve a high sense of quality in yourself and the things that you do, which I think you should be doing, it starts with putting it out there, completing something, and then reiterating and changing and optimizing as you move forward. At some point we have to take ownership of our lives and realize that our lives, they're messy. It's not perfect, and it never will be. But I don't think we should be trying to be perfect. I think we should just be trying to do whatever it is we were called on this earth to do. I think that's good enough. It's good enough for me, and it should be good enough for you. Now, there's always rooms to improve and to grow, and that's where the work comes in. It's kind of like how, why do some people make it to the NBA and some people don't? Well, they have the same level of talent, but one person is in the gym shooting 1,000 shots a day and another person is not, So there's raw talent, but then there's the work that you put into it that really actually makes or breaks what is happening. You can think of that raw talent as that first valuable product that you put out. That's not perfect, but it's out. It's complete. And then from there, that shooting the 1,000 shots in the gym, It's just the different things that you change along the way to make things better. And that's the way you want to think about it. You want to release and move forward. And as you do that, not only will you begin to start to share your greatness with the world and with people who actually need what it is that you are creating, but you step out of your own way and you don't let this ideal thought of being perfect keep you from releasing something that can really make a difference in the world. All right, y'all, so I hope this video was helpful for you. If you like this video, make sure you hit the like button and don't forget to hit the subscribe button as well as the notification bell so you can get notified every time I drop a new video. And share this video with someone that needs to hear this, guys. That's the only way we grow, is by you guys sharing this content, and I really do appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. Thank you so much for the love already and for sharing this stuff out there, because I know this is just stuff that people need to hear. So you're really helping somebody out by sharing this kind of content with them. And last but not least, I'm gonna leave you with how I leave you with all my videos. Don't forget, you only live once, so make sure you're making it count.